Perfect. So we are almost there. So now we have a server, like a Mongo server that is running. In this case, I have that on Docker, too many things open. So I have running here Mongo tests running in Docker. And then here on Mongo Compass, you can see that we have a listings collection that were imported like 1,000 different records. Okay. Our next step, and these, remember, these are the ones that I was connecting to that, is that I want to create this connection. In order for us to do that, we are going to be using the Node. So you search for Node.js, MongoDB driver. That it's a library for Node that allows you to connect to Mongo. Okay, that should take you here. It seems like the current version is 6.2, and then you can go into the getting started. This explains how to install it. So go and create a project. We already have done that. And then you want to install this version of the library, not to confuse with the 8.2, I think is the version of the server. So this is the version of the driver. But we can come here back to our application. We have it in here. And then actually, let me stop the server, and then I'm going to do this command. Since this is going to be a dependency, I'm going to say minus minus save, and it's using that specific version. So um, actually, let me just do it like this. So it will install the latest version. So we don't really care for that specific one. Hopefully, we'll get that same one. If we go here into my code, oh, before I do that, let me do this. Git status. And then, oh, and I forgot to commit all of those ones too. So let me say git commit minus a, git commit minus m. And then what is the latest thing I did? Like connecting front end to back end using Ajax, I think is the latest thing I did. And then I just push that. And then I want to add the data folder, and I want to say git commit minus m, adding some default uh, import data. And then I can push that. So now that we are here, yes, in the package JSON, if you take a look here on the dependencies, MongoDB, we have installed the driver for that. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to create a folder, not in the front end. Actually, it's in the back end. So I hate that. There we go. DB. And then I'm going to create a new file in there that I'm going to call my MongoDB driver or my MongoDB.js. Okay. I'm going to create a, I'm going to export function or export default function my MongoDB. Okay. And I am going to use my typical me. Copilot knows me now and then returns that thing. And then I have that. And then basically what I want is to have something like get listings. Okay. So for getting the listings, if you take a look at the documentation from the Node.js, so we can create in here, create a Mongo deployment. We already have Mongo, so we don't need to do that. This one is nice because it was going to explain how to do it using Mongo Atlas, which is their service. That it's on the cloud. You can try that as well, and it's probably might be easier for you. But be very careful. If they get your credit card or something, especially very important, never put your credentials into GitHub. So if you give them your credit card, you can get charged like thousands of dollars for that. So be very careful when you're deploying. Okay. So blah, 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 we don't need that. And then here we have an example code on how to get it started. So basically we need something like that. So as you can see, um, the way this works is that first I need to import Mongo and it's actually going to be like a named import from MongoDB. Okay, so we do that as you can see in here. Basically, what that's doing is that it's going to look for an export in the MongoDB driver that it's called exactly Mongo client. Okay, then I'm going to create in here like a connect function. Okay, which it's going to do some steps, like probably what Copilot is suggesting in there. So basically, we are going to need an URI of where we are going to be connecting. So let's go and create that. My URI, and I like what Mongo, like Copilot is suggesting in there. It's going to check if I do have a Mongo URI, and then if not, use it 337017. For you all, remember, you should be using probably 27017, but since I'm using the other Mongo, then I'm going to be using this one. Okay. Now, having done that, then the next thing is that you connect with the client. And then I am going to be doing that in here. So I like doing it like this. So I connect with that. And then once you connect with that, then you can start trying different things with that syntax. Okay. So basically for the moment, I'm just going to do like returned my client. Okay. Am I missing something in there? So I do that. Yeah, I don't need the connect. So Copilot is ranking that. Okay. Actually, since I'm only using the listings, so I probably am going to do the listings collection, which is going to be, yes, Copilot is right in this one. It's going to be apartment finder. And that's because that is the name that I added in here. And then it's also going to be getting, from that, it is going to be getting the listings collection. Okay. We can make that a little bit better. We can go and say this is going to be a DB name, which is going to be that one. And then we're actually even better. We can put it as a parameter in here, which is going to be the DB name and the collection name. And I can put like default URI, which is going to be this one in here, and that's going to be the one that we're using here. Well, actually, for you guys to make sure that it works for you, so I'm going to do it like this. And then I'm going to just change for me using this Mongo variable. So I don't need this. And then I can also, I like my pattern of doing that. And then because of that, I can just replace this by db, come on, db name. And this is going to be, let's keep like, uh, I'm not liking the constant name again. So I think I'm going to go lowercase with those. Collection name, perfect. So we have that. And then basically this is going to return, and I want to return the two things. Okay. Um, good. So should I change that? Yeah. Let's change that. So this is going to be the DB name, and this is going to be the, come on, collection name. And because for the moment I'm only going to use that one, and then URI, let's do it lowercase to 2, and then URI. And then perfect, we have that one. So I actually, oh, so let's call this default URI, and then default URI. Yes, perfect. So now I need the connect. So in the get listings, the very first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to connect, and I'm going to use that a lot in the other ones. And then, yeah, actually, what Copilot is saying in there, it's correct. I'm going to pass in here. Let me actually explain that slowly so you can understand that thing. So basically what this is doing in here is that I am connected, and then I'm going to connect to this database, and out of that collection, I'm going to, or sorry, from that connection, you're going to get the collection listings, okay? Then I return those two in here, and then what I can do is that from my client, or actually from my collection, which in this case is going to be the listings, you can run a command, and that command can be like run this specific query. I can go and make that query very explicit in here, which is going to be like an empty query, something like that. Okay. If you want to pass it as an object, or if you just want to pass, like if the only thing you want to pass is just a query, then don't worry. So it could be just something like this. And then this is going to be my query. As I said before, we like this interface when you use find, what you're using is the MQL, which is Mongo query language, the basic way of querying things with Mongo. The other way is the aggregation pipeline, which is more complicated, but allows you to do better things like joins and counts and group bys and things like that. In any case, in the MQL, you query things using just like JSON. So I can go and do this. And this one is going to return a cursor, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see how they have it in here. So you can go and say, for instance, get me only one. But then if you see here on the CRUD operations, you can query documents and you can find documents. And here is going to be how you do that. You can find only one. Ba, 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 or you can just do the find, which is the one that I'm using in here. So I'm using file, and this is the full file. And then if you only want to count documents, then you do this one, but then you can also do this one. Oh, I like that they're using like the sort and the project. Okay. So, and then you can see like a more advanced query in here. But at the end of the day, are they, uh, oh, oh, so they are only showing the documents in here? Uh, Let me see. So they are running this one and they're projecting that. Count documents equals that, console not documents query. Oh, so they're using the cursor. So in our case, we are not going to be using the cursor. So we are just going to be returning the whole thing. So um, let's see if it is here. Too interesting. Uh, isn't it to array or something? Uh, Access data, interesting. Uh, specified documents, specify account distinct, search, access data from a cursor. Here is what I was trying to get. So you have this find, and then, yeah, it should be, here it is, to array. So basically you can just find, and then you just do to array. I wonder why it was so hard to find in there. Anyhow, so the thing is that this returns a cursor. For the moment, I'm not going to do anything, and then I can just go and convert that. And this one is actually an asynchronous method. So since this is an asynchronous method, I have to make this asynchronous. I'm not really using the client for the moment. Oh, I will use the client. So I will try to do this, and then I will try to return whatever this thing finishes. And if there is an error, I can go and show that error as Copilot is saying in here. And then I can do a finally. And in the finally, I want to make sure that the connection to the client is closed. So the way I like doing things is that on every query, I like connecting to the database, running my query, and then closing the query or closing the connection at the end. I don't think it's the most efficient way in the sense that it's creating a lot of connections. So probably you should just reuse the connection. But I really like it because many times if you send something wrong or you make an error on your code, the connection will be killed. And then you will need to restart the server in order to recreate the connection. So maybe another way is just to check if the connection doesn't exist, then create it again. But yeah, be aware of that. So for the moment, I prefer doing it this way. And then I'm going to put in here uh, console data equals that, and console log fetch listings from data, da da da. And then I'm going to put database, no, data. Uh, so let's do this one, do this kind of like saying that it's from the data. So now I have a library, which is this my MongoDB. And that my MongoDB is going to have this method. So what that means is that here on my routes, I can import. I am not going to have this anymore. Okay. So I can go and do this, okay? And then I'm going to say import, let's say from, and this is going to be that dash because I have to go down and then db my MongoDB search JSON. Seriously, you're crazy. And then import my MongoDB as we can call it like MyDB, and that way we can I do that? And then this thing is angry. Can I do this at least? Oh, so basically I can just call it like MyDB. Yes? Okay, perfect. And then basically what you will do in here is that you say, I want to get listings from here, get listings, okay? And I'm going to be getting the listings from that. And this is an asynchronous method, so I will need to await for that. And then for that, I will need to put this in here, receive request, and then I'm just going to send the error. If there is any error with this, so you can go and put this in here. So if there is any error with that, then you probably want to send an error like that. Okay, so basically just send a message saying that there is an error, and then like um, um, you can just either send that error clear or yeah, something I like doing is like I could either go and put the listings as an empty array. That sounds better. Okay. Um, and finally, yes, let's try with this one. And then this one, it's angry. It's still, what's your problem? Already included file name. Differs from file. Oh, it does it. My, oh, lowercase. So probably I want this to be, that was good, ESLint. I didn't know you could do that. So now I have that, and then I already fixed it. Come on, go away. Um, where? I haven't done it. True. That's weird. Let's see. Hopefully it will work, and it's an error from ESLint, and that will be interesting. I can go and do this. Now the thing is running. I can come in here. Close that, close that. Oops, I didn't want to close. Ah, damn it. I closed Mockaroo, so there goes my configuration. That was for that. This was for this. Blah, blah. I don't need that. I need this one. And then I can do this one. Perfect. So now I'm getting an error. When I go into this one, we can go and actually go directly to see what error. So it's actually telling me that there is an internal server error. And then get listings is not a function. So I am importing this one. I'm exporting the my MongoDB. Okay, so I think what I can do in here is that I can export default. So I can go and call it, yes, that's why I had it lowercase. My MongoDB, this is going to be like I'm going to create like pretty much this is going to be a singleton pattern in the sense that everyone is going to have access exactly to this same instance. And then in here, this should work. Why are you still angry? Uh, because import blah 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 throat. So what do you mean? Only encasing differs from. Yeah, but I already fixed that. That's so interesting. Can I restart the ESLint server? Hmm, that's so weird. I already fixed that in there, so that should be fine. This one restarted. Can I go in here and then I do that? So it's saying receiving the requests. Perfect. It is trying on the other database. So I want to export Mongo URL and then my Mongo URL. This is only for me because I'm running on the 37017. And then I start this again. If you want to check if you're using the correct one, then here on my MongoDB, I can go and saying here console log, and then connecting to Mongo URL. And I'm only going to look at the first, let's say, but I need the, the port. uh, yes, Mongo URL. So let me do, because the problem is that that will, like, if you're running that with the password, that will release, like, that will publish the password. So we don't want that. For the moment, let's just go and print it for once and then um, remove it from there. So I have that, and then it is still using this one. Um, MongoDB URI. So basically, I exported the wrong variable name. So let's go and say this is going to be the new name, and then I do that, and then if I come here and I run that, then I get a different error. But definitely we were trying to connect to localhost 27017. Um, phew. So it's telling me that it has the wrong one, local. Oh, okay, yes. So my bad. The MongoDB URL needs to be MongoDB colon slash slash. So start. And again, you don't need to do that. This is just for me. And then we can see it is getting the listings. This is going to be a little problematic because it is getting all of the listings. So we can improve a little bit on that. Here on the listings, we are going to say we only want to get, and then um, this could be like how many, okay? And then, um, yeah, in that sense, this is where it becomes useful to do it like this because it's more readable. And then I could put in here page size, and this could be like 20 or something like that. And then I can also go and include the page, which is going to be the first one. And then this will be the page size. And then I think there is a skip. Yes. So the skip, it is going to be how many pages you want to skip. So this is going to be page size times the page. So basically, it's how many records you want to skip. And I want to start with the page one, and we can send for the other pages later. Um, in here, if I do that, then if I take a look at the listings, you can see that now it's only returning 20. And then finally, to see if everything is working, look at that, it's showing 20, and then we dance. Okay, so later, like what we can do, like for the next part, we can just start polishing things and making sure that we receive the parameters in the correct way. But now what we have with this is just a full stack application, at least like at the bare bones of it. I have the full client, and this full client, it's actually everything that is in here on the front end. It's in here. Then we have the backend and the server, and then those backend code, it's the thing that I have here in the routes. And finally, we have Mongo running on this part and connecting using the Mongo driver. And with that, we have a full application. Yeah. So let us know if you have any questions. And I strongly recommend you try to see if you can start building from this, like start creating the full CRUD applications. Although we can talk more about that next week. Okay. And let us know if you have any questions. Okay. Thank you.